The sun dipped below the rolling hills, casting long shadows across the narrow, winding road. 7 friends, Oliver, Evelyn, Theo, Clara, James, Amelia, and Daniel, drove in their old van, the headlights slicing through the thickening mist. Their weekend plan was simple: an adventurous retreat in the countryside, away from the chaos of the city. But as the night stretched on, their journey took an unexpected turn. The road twisted through dense woods, where the gnarled branches seemed to reach out like skeletal fingers. The GPS had failed miles ago, and the last road sign they passed had been rusted beyond recognition. They should have reached their rented cottage by now, but instead, they were driving deeper into an unfamiliar wilderness, where even the stars seemed dimmer. Then, out of nowhere, the van's engine sputtered and died. James, the driver, twisted the key, but all he got was a sickly clicking noise. "Great," he muttered. Stranded in the middle of nowhere. "We need to find shelter," Evelyn said, peering out into the night. "It's getting colder." Just as she spoke, a gust of wind howled through the trees, carrying with it the faint sound of something. Was it a whisper, or merely the rustling of leaves? Then, as if the night itself had conjured it, a grand old manor emerged through the fog. It stood at the end of a stone path, its towering silhouette imposing against the darkened sky. Ivy crept along its cracked walls, and its windows, like hollow eyes, stared down at them. "That place looks welcoming," Clara murmured, sarcasm dripping from her words. "Well, it's better than sleeping in the van," Daniel reasoned. They had no other option. With hesitant steps, they approached the towering front door. Theo, the boldest of them all, grasped the rusted knocker and rapped it against the wood. The sound echoed unnaturally, stretching far beyond what seemed possible. Then, the door creaked open, on its own. A shiver passed through them, but the biting cold urged them inside. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and dust, and an eerie stillness settled around them as they stepped into the grand hallway. The walls were adorned with faded tapestries and portraits of people whose eyes seemed to follow them. A chandelier above, despite its cobwebs, flickered to life with an otherworldly glow. "This place hasn't been abandoned," Amelia whispered. "But who opened the door?" Oliver asked, his voice barely above a breath. A sudden thud made them all jump. It came from the end of the hallway, where a grand staircase curled upwards into the darkness. Something was moving above them. "We should leave," Clara said, her voice wavering. "We don't even know what's out there," James argued. "The van's dead, and we're stuck in the middle of nowhere." A cold breeze swept through the hallway, inside the house. It carried the scent of something long decayed. Then they heard it. A child's laughter, soft, distant, yet impossibly close. It sent ice through their veins. Theo, ever the skeptic, rolled his eyes. Probably an old radio or something. But then the laughter came again, closer this time, almost whispering in their ears. And then footsteps. Light, pattering footsteps, like a child running across the wooden floor. But there was no one there. The chandelier above them flickered violently, casting erratic shadows. And then the whisper came, "Leave now, before it wakes up." The words seemed to slither through the air, curling around their ears like tendrils of smoke. They turned as one, ready to bolt, when the doors behind them slammed shut with a deafening bang. James rushed to them, yanking at the handles. "It won't budge." Clara's hands trembled as she gripped Amelia's arm. "Who's waking up? What does that mean?" As if in response, a low groan reverberated through the house. It came from upstairs, Oliver swallowed hard. We have to find another way out. Their eyes darted to the grand staircase. The only way forward. The air grew colder with each step they took. Their breaths, now visible wisps of mist. The second floor was dimly lit by old wall-mounted lanterns, flickering as if caught in an unseen breeze. The hallway stretched into endless darkness, lined with more paintings, each one depicting faces that were somehow changing. Their expressions twisted into something unnatural the longer they looked. A door at the end of the hall stood slightly ajar. The child's laughter beckoned from within. Against their better judgment, they stepped inside. The room was a nursery. Rocking horses sat frozen in mid-rock. A crib stood in the center, its sheets still neat, untouched by dust. A doll sat in a corner, its glassy eyes fixed on the crib. And then, the crib moved. The sheet shifted as if something were inside. A small, pale hand crept over the edge. Evelyn gasped. "There's someone." The hand snapped back as the room plunged into darkness. The door slammed shut. Then came the sound. A breath, deep, ragged. Not from one of them. It was in the room. James fumbled for his phone light, but before he could turn it on, something rushed past them. The wind howled through the house. The chandelier in the hallway shattered, and then silence until the voice returned. "Run!" They didn't hesitate. Bursting through the door, they ran down the hall, the walls groaning as if the house itself were alive. Doors flung open violently, revealing glimpses of horrors. A faceless figure standing still, a woman sobbing in a corner, shadowy hands clawing at the air. They reached the staircase just as something slammed against the walls behind them, shaking the very foundation of the house. The front doors, now open. They sprinted, nearly tumbling down the stairs. As they crossed the threshold, the air thickened, as if the house itself resisted their escape, but they broke free. The second they stepped onto the lawn, the house fell into darkness. The doors shut on their own, locking the secrets inside. Their van, miraculously, roared back to life. Panting, they piled in, James flooring the gas. The house shrank into the mist, swallowed as if it had never been there. As they sped down the road, Evelyn whispered, "Did that really happen?" Then, Amelia gasped. On the rear window, small handprints had appeared, and from the van's radio, a child's laughter crackled through the static.